So I'm thinking of simple sales processes and tools. I just had a discussion recently where I made the comment about the number of probably 20-minute tasks I had to do just felt overwhelming. And we had a good conversation about if there was a way to automate some activities and things that we do, how valuable that would be. And so I'm really excited to learn more about these tools and processes that applies to what we do related to sales. Let me cover a few administrative things to get started. I'll introduce all of our speakers and then we can go ahead and go. So if we go on to the next slide, for CPE credit for today's session, Will, we're seeing your Chrome, not the slide itself. You're gonna get polling questions and that will be what you need to get the 1 CPE credit hour. This is a 50-minute session. Please answer all 3 polling questions. Doing that, you'll automatically get the CPE certificates. They'll be emailed within the next week. We do have a question function as part of the webinar, so we really encourage people to use that. In past webinars, that's been a great way to interact with us and with the speaker. So we watch those, we'll interrupt and answer the questions. At the same time, we'll try to answer them afterward in our CFO community that we'll talk about in a little bit. The replay and the slides will also be available via email tomorrow. So if we jump on to the next slide then, so to tell you a little bit about Summit CPA Group, so 3 of our 4 speakers, including me, are from Summit CPA Group. So we're a firm that since 2004 have focused on delivering virtual CFO services and back office accounting. We went completely virtual as a fully distributed firm in 2013. So we have the flexibility for both of our employees and clients working virtually, so the location where they are really doesn't make a difference. And currently we have 55 employees, some in the US, and we also have some employees around the world. So to tell you just a little bit about our speakers. So joining me today, Jody Grunden, who's our CEO and co-founder of the company. And so Jody is coming on camera right now. Next to him is Adam Hale, who is our COO and also his co-founder. And then Will Hadeler is working with PandaDocs, and he'll be talking more about PandaDocs and something we use, and you'll hear that in the conversations that we give today. So Will, do you want to tell us a little bit about PandaDocs? And I'm going to go ahead and launch the first polling question while you do that.
Will do. Let me just get that back on track there.
Okay.
There we go.
Sure. So if you want to tell us a little bit about that, and I'll go ahead and launch a polling question, we can learn a little bit more about our audience.
Sure thing. So there we go again. Let me make sure that we're.
Nope, you're good. The polling is up for what people can see right now.
Perfect. All right. So thank you for that introduction, Tom. Just to introduce myself in a little bit more detail, I'm the Director of Partnership Sales here at PandaDoc. I've been with the company for going on 6 years now, and today we're going to be talking about what our company offers in terms of a software solution, specifically within the context of CPA firms. So just for some background context as to who we are. So we are a SaaS-based product and platform that we offer. So it's a cloud-based software solution that we offer to our customers as our primary product. We were founded in 2011, so going on 9 years ago. In terms of our own company size, we're just over 415 employees with offices spread globally. We've got a couple offices here in the United States as well as Europe and Asia. And we have a pretty broad global customer base of over 25,000 active customers. So that's just a little bit of context regarding, our high level company statistics. But today, what we're really going to be focused on is a
little bit about our audience. Well, almost everyone is in a firm smaller than 10 people. Seems perfect for your solution, but just let you know kind of who's on the webinar today.
Perfect. Yeah, and to that point, PandaDoc, the software tool that we provide, the core of what we, our customer base for, definitely, initially and still going strong right now, is very small and small businesses. That's sort of the segment that we focused it on. And over time, we've incorporated more functionality to support the use cases and requirements of larger organizations as well. But our history and our core has definitely been with smaller businesses. Now, when we talk about, what does PandaDoc's software provide, right? So we are a software company that focuses on the process for client-facing documents. And we are an all-in-one solution that provides, basically the capability to manage everything involved with the process for your client-facing documents. So everything from managing the templates to customizing the documents before they're sent out to customers, to electronic signature, to collecting payment and generating invoices within your invoicing software. The idea here is that we're providing a complete solution for the entire document process, not just one single step in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the big thing for our templates, being able to, I think for our use cases, we have three, kind of distinctive service lines within our VCFO practice. And so what made it really easy for me was whenever we, started working with you all and we set up a template for each one of them so that the wording was in there and already standardized. Also just having a nice video library, because we like to add in, the specific team. So whenever we do our delivery, it's a little bit about us. There's the cover sheet. We're able to throw, I think clients like this too, we're able to like cut and paste in their actual logo on the front end of it, which is cool. And then it's a little bit about us, and then we go into like meet the team. So being able to customize that, but customize it super quick, is really nice. And then of course the SOW kind of builds itself out pretty quick as well. So I mean, I don't know, it probably takes a solid, like, and it hooks into, the integration with our HubSpot, making it, a 10-15 minute process tops is huge. So we primarily use it for the SOWs right now.
Yeah, and I would add to that, the when looking for a all-in-one provider when it comes to the sales process, it's important. Branding is super important. So, as we go through this, is when we decided upon, Panadox, a long time ago, over 10 years ago, we were looking for something that continued the image from what we were presenting on the website, what we're presenting in the seminars that we spoke at, and it was important that this document was the first document that they're seeing. So we wanted that wow factor, with the client, and so that image was extremely important. There's a lot of other software providers that can do similar things, not everything that PandaDocs can do, but they did it really well, and the image was the big thing for us. And so, as Adam mentioned, streamlining it was really important. Image was extremely important, and that's why we settled. And I guess settled. That's why we picked PandaDocs, a long time ago, and have been with them for a very long time.
Yeah, cute is important. So yep, we want to make sure it looks professional, looks sharp, and the delivery is cool too. In terms of just being all electronic and clicking the link and stuff.
And you brought up a couple good, example types of documents, right? Or good examples of, the types of documents that CPA firms are typically managing in Panadox. So SOWs, proposals, engagement letters, and sort of the actual contracts to win business. That's definitely a core document type that we see CPAs using with us a lot of the times. But other, CPA specific workflows too are supported by PandaDoc. So for instance, collecting, files, tax forms with customers, we can really structure that process for you guys by, basically enabling you to send out a form that prompts people to upload files for your return. So, customer-facing documents and agreements and proposals are a strong suit, but a few other good use cases are in there that I've seen over the years working with CPA firms. So,
yeah, Will, you've been helping us work through like the renewal piece. We talked through the bulk stuff, and Jody, I haven't circled back around with you yet, but that seems like it might be a really good solution for us as well. And then we have some engagement letters that fall outside of our tax software that are kind of difficult to populate and pretty time consuming on our 401k side. So I think that your bulk solution for some of those things like renewals and stuff and the engagement letter seems to like it's a good place to save a ton of time and get things organized.
Yep.
Absolutely. And let's see if we're going to go on to the next slide here. So, good segue right into what we're talking about when it comes to applications of PandaDoc is comparing it to what the legacy process might look like. So a lot of the attendees here, this process might sound familiar to you, but for engagement letters, for proposals, a lot of times, our customers are coming to us initially with a legacy process that they're experiencing certain pain points with, and that they're trying to find a solution for. So a lot of times what we see is, people using Microsoft Word templates that they're editing, or maybe they don't even have templates. They're just going back to maybe like the previous engagement letter that they sent out, and they're editing that for a new customer. They're sending that over to the customer via email and a PDF to collect the signature from it. But there's maybe not really a good way to keep track of, all the emails being sent out and who's actually opened it and completed it.
Well, as you describe those, if you don't mind, why don't I launch the polling question and we can find out a little bit more about what our audience does in terms of these kinds of things. As you think of these processes, sort of what your firms do. Sorry, you can go ahead. Now they can see the poll that we're interested in what they're thinking.
Perfect. Yeah, so basically, what I'm describing is a manual process, right? Manually, editing the document each time, sending it off to be signed via email, and again, manually keeping track, if you are keeping track of who's completed what, maybe in like a spreadsheet or something like that. So when it comes to the process itself, this is what we see a lot of the time. And when it comes to the content itself, again, maybe there are some, small logos incorporated on the engagement letter that gets sent out. The proposal might be pretty text heavy, or maybe there's not a proposal being sent at all. So again, from like a branding and a design standpoint, a lot of CPA firms, in my experience, are sending out pretty much the kind of same plain looking type documents. And that's another thing that our solution, provides and focuses on, is the actual, customer experience and what they're seeing on the document, incorporating a little bit more design and things like video assets and stuff like that on proposals and other sales documents.
So, Will, let me go ahead and show you the results, as you can see in here. So it sounds very similar to what you had just described, that most people are emailing documents. Some have standard templates for that. Some are just sending them out, but a very small percent are actually using an automated workflow in there. So it sounds very consistent with what you were describing to us.
Excellent.
Yeah, those standardized templates they're cool inside of PandaDoc, but having them where there's only like 4 or 5 inputs and it automatically connects to, like I said, our HubSpot, makes it so much easier. I remember using the standardized templates so much there for a while, and then just messing up little stupid stuff. Even though it was a template, you would think, okay, I just got to go in and edit a few things and move things around. Having it inside of the software and then being able to see when people actually viewed what I sent them out is also super helpful.
Yeah, having it in one place and not having to search through your email or however you're sending it when it's mixed with everything else.
Yeah, because even from the collection side of it, that's helpful for us too. Like whenever they return the engagement, we don't have to like print stuff off and put it in a weird file folder. Like it just kind of lives within our PandaDoc, which is cool.
Yeah.
Nice. I guess, what were you guys using over at Summit CPA before PandaDoc? Was it a process similar to the one I showed, or I guess how were you guys actually
I think
getting these documents customized?
It was before PandaDocs. Geez, yeah, that was a long time ago. But before that, it was just simply Word documents sent over.
Yeah.
Usually it was the day or two after we met with the client versus the same day within a few minutes after meeting with the client. So it was a completely different process. We found our win percentage wasn't as great because again, the engagements were done so far, the documents were done so far after actually meeting with clients, and we found that once with this process, it just made it so slick. It made it so easy.
So
if
Jody,
you don't mind,
I was going to suggest, since you mentioned the timing, maybe I can go ahead and throw in that polling question and ask how long it takes other people to do right now. Is that okay?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
I wouldn't mind sharing my screen and kind of showing what we, just an example what we use.
Okay. As soon as this polling question is done, we can flip over to that.
Yeah, I mean, I always remember too, like, is this the latest template whenever it was in Word? And so I'd always be like emailing Jody, hey, what was the last one that we revised? And, you know, because it didn't, I mean, even though it might have lived on Drive, we might have like made some nuanced changes or whatever. I think one of the smartest things we were able to do too, having the PandaDoc platform, and this is credit to Jody, because we always talk about it's just as important to say what we don't do as it is to say what we do. So rather than like what we used to do was we would list out the services that they selected, and then we would not include in the SOW things that they chose not to include. Now, just to make our life easier, the whole buffet of everything we do is right there, and it either says included or not included. So instead of me having to like go, oh, yep, they wanted this one, click, paste, it was just like, all I had to do is delete not included on 4 or 5 line items.
Yeah.
Big time saver.
So you can see a quick thing here. It looks like most people are at least less than a week, but the biggest group sits in that less than a week. I was going to say most between same day and less than a week, and then about 20% in that 2 to 3 week time frame. And then someone asks if engagement letters actually need to be sent. So, Jody, do you want to go ahead and share? We did have a question from Sheila asking if we can see an example.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, to give you an example, what we've done with PandaDocs is let me move a couple things over real quick here. Initially, you know, again, this is something that is integrated right in with HubSpot, and so by clicking a button over here, all my information comes right in and populates all these fields in yellow. So when a client's looking at this, they get this as a full version. They don't obviously see the right and left side of it here. But again, prepared for their industry, we've got a template, our cover sheet prepared for, you know, maybe a specific industry. In this case, this is the restaurant industry here. Again, all this information is filled out. We'll just completely insert a logo right here. Everything else is filled out. And then as you go through, you know, this is what we put just a real quick, you know, about Summit CPA Group here. A letter from me, and then we have a video attached to it. So the nice thing about it is you can attach as many videos as you'd like. You know, so we have a video.
How young you look there.
I know. Heck, no gray hair there and everything.
Your son did a video?
Yeah, it was like last week. But anyways, yeah, with that, then we have, you know, a couple different videos on different processes. And then the next thing we think is really important is kind of just giving an introductory to the team. So in this case, it's just me, but we would have all the team members listed on the engagement there with kind of their role that they're going to play within the engagement. So again, it gives the client an idea who's going to be on the engagement. And then as Adam had mentioned, we have the basic service agreement, the engagement letter, the boilerplate template, and again, all the little yellow areas. You know, basically it's filled in automatically. So it gets filled in automatically from the information flowing through HubSpot. And then down where we make everything, and here's where they, you know, they can sign it and everything. You'll see the signatures come up here. We can have multiple signatures so they can sign it and have a document with signatures. But here's the SOW, and this is the important part about it. You know, as Adam mentioned, we've got one for virtual CFO services. We have one for what we call our controller service, and we've got one for our transactional. So depending on the template we pull in, you know, this information is already populated. And then down here is what Adam was mentioning was the do's and don'ts. So hey, what's included, what's not included. And the nice thing about this, we just simply double click into it real quick and just change it. So now the payroll administration is included, you know, into this agreement. That's how quick it is. So we'll just go one at a time. You know, what did we agree upon? And then all the language is already built in there, all the way down to the tax returns. And then the dollar amount down here in the deal, you know, flows right in from what we had agreed upon originally. So it's extremely easy and extremely nice presentation. It looks very professional. The clients really like it. It gives them that wow feeling that, hey, this company really knows what they're doing. This is a really cool product. And again, it takes us literally 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes to put the engagement letter together. So we've met with the client for an hour on the phone, or on the video conference. They've agreed upon the price. 15 minutes later, you know, they've got this engagement letter, you know, set up with the exact pricing and the exact structure that they spoke about. Again, we're not tweaking the actual engagement letter at all. We're tweaking the SOW, and everything again flows through HubSpot. So again, the automatic flow is extremely important through this entire process.
And Jody, as you mentioned the simplicity, one thing I find is I get a new client, then this is one of the first things we do in the meeting, just say, okay, let me make sure that I understand what services we're providing for you. Are we all aligned on this? And it's just a great chance for them to look. And usually it's the owner plus a team of people where we're saying, so you'll still do your taxes, we'll do your payroll for you, whatever those services are. And a great chance that if up front they say, I thought you were doing something, it's a great way to resolve that early on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just love it. I mean, it's really easy. And if you set it up correctly, again, it's very easy to jump from different types of engagements. Like we have a similar one for our 401k audits. You know, obviously it doesn't have the restaurant up here in the cover letter, so we've got a cover letter designed for that. You know, and the language, you know, maybe it doesn't have, you know, it doesn't have the virtual CFO video in it. We've got a template for that, you know, 401k audit video and so forth. So we've got it built for each of the different service areas so that we can just pop right in real quick. Here's the engagement letter. And then send it to them for
and if you don't have a HubSpot, it like the time is, I mean, really we do that for consistency because we're constantly watching our pipeline. So we use HubSpot to monitor our leads as they come in through the website and move them through the, you know, through the process. But even if you didn't have that integration, I mean, the lift is still only a couple minutes because you're only typing in a couple primary pieces of information, you know, company name, person, title, you know, and the fee, you know, so it's real limited data input. It's just kind of cool whenever it's automatically linked to HubSpot so that we have some synergy there.
Yeah, and
Jody,
I would also
did you
say
see the question that just came in? It looks like you're answering it.
I sure did. Yeah, no, we definitely want to. I think the important of an SOW is to tell people what you're going to do, but also more importantly, tell them what you're not going to do, and that really defines the scope of the agreement. So if we just included payroll administration, left everything else out, you know, who knows? They may have thought, you know, incorrectly thought that we were reconciling their credit cards or providing cash flow and so forth. And so we want to make sure that we list all of our services and what we do and do not do. You know, if Summit CPA does not provide payroll services, you know, blah, 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 blah. And so the important part is, again, listing both what we do and what we don't do. Again, so there's no confusion at all, because again, you don't want confusion, especially at the onset of an engagement, and you don't want confusion down the road when, you know, the client thought you were doing payroll processing or whatever form and you'd never done it. You know, month in, you had done any of that, hadn't sent their payroll, or, you know, reports in or whatever. You don't want that confusion either. So it's important to, again, list what you do and don't do.
Yeah, we learned that the hard way. So because again, before we were only including things that they were doing and we didn't explicitly explain what we weren't doing. And so that came back to haunt us, you know, where they're like, oh, well, I thought, you know, payroll processing was included in payroll administration. Nope, two totally different things. We got a descriptor of exactly what it, and even with payroll administration, you know, one of the challenges with handling payroll is that, especially if you're doing accounts payable, clients just assume that you know when to change all their employees' deductions because people add and subtract health insurance, whatever it is. Like, we're very explicit inside of there. We are not an HR firm. We're not an HR director. You know, as things change, you need to notify us, you know, so there's little pieces inside of our SOW where we've just kind of learned from, you know, from clients and such of what to put in there. So definitely can't drill that home enough, is to put in what you don't do.
Jody, do you want to continue or do you want me to shift back?
I'm good. Yeah, go ahead and shift back if you don't mind.
Okay, yep. So you can go ahead and present. Again, yeah, I think seeing that example, we got several comments that you can see of people appreciating being able to see it.
Perfect.
No worries.
One quick question I had before we proceed here. So I understand where you're coming from in terms of setting the correct expectations for customers when listing what services you're going to provide or not provide. I'm curious, is that also an opportunity for you guys to like show your customers other services that you provide to maybe other customers that particular customer might not be, you know, aware of, or, you know, maybe there's a, you know, a future possible service that, you know, they could use you guys for, but, you know, now that they see your full range of other services that you include, you know, maybe they'll come to you for that.
100%.
Yeah, 100%
Onboarding too.
Yeah, because a lot of times, you know, we'll meet with one person maybe during that sales call, that hour sales call we talked about, but they got a whole team of people. And so when they're going through this during the onboarding, there again, the whole team is now again seeing exactly what we do, what we don't offer. So yeah, very important. It just keeps that door open down the road. And then it's very simple when a client does switch that. So they've signed the engagement letter, let's say 6 months down the road, they say, hey, you know what, we really like you guys. We want you to do your taxes also. Well, it's very simple. Our CFO can pop back in, pop up the engagement letter, remove the taxes, or remove the not included there, make it included, send it back out for additional signature, and boom, we're off and going. So again, it's not the process is designed to be very quick and easy to make changes throughout the entire engagement.
Perfect, excellent. So yeah, that it's something that I've seen with other CPA firms, that point I just mentioned. So thank you for providing that additional context there. And if we're circling back to the presentation here, right? I think we, Adam did a really solid job kind of explaining how they're using it in regards to solving for some of these challenges. But just to recap, what we're trying to do as a solution, right, is reduce the amount of time that you guys spend creating the documents and getting them delivered, collecting signatures on those documents, making that an easier process for both your clients and yourselves to keep track of. And again, you can see how Summit is using the Panadoc editor to, make the brand and their presentation of their services stand out from the competition with videos and with, well kind of structured team pages and things like that. So these are all things that, we're looking to incorporate and solve for some of the issues that you might have with, a manual process or limitations that you face with Microsoft Word.
Mm-hmm. I would say another thing, again, the signature thing is important. For instance, our auditing, we have to have 2 signatures, a lot of times from the different companies. And so Panadox allows that, where it can go from one signature to the next, and you can see the flow, and you can see when they signed it, and you can see how, where it's sitting at currently, or who's viewed it. You can see all that information, which is critically important, because I know with junk mail and everything nowadays, a lot of times, that gets lost. You might send them the proposal, it's a week later, they haven't sent anything back. You're wondering, hey, did they ever get it? Are they, everything negative starts popping in your head. Then you find out that it's sitting in their junk mail, and they're still waiting for this proposal that's sitting in their junk mail. So it gives you that opportunity to react a lot quicker and to be proactive when it comes to, getting proposals, signatures, and so forth.
Exactly. And like, I prefaced this meeting, right, like Panadoc, when you're using everything in Panadoc, it really is an end-to-end solution. But, you can focus on how you're using Panadoc at, any particular step of your workflow, if that's the main, area where you're experiencing issues. So let's see if we go to the next slide here. Like you guys just heard, right? Electronic signature is something that we provide in Panadoc. So if you're not taking advantage of electronic signature yet, there's a lot of benefit to doing that. It's a legally binding electronic signature. This allows the customer to easily sign that document from any device that they're sent, as opposed to printing it and signing it and scanning it back to you. And if you're already using an electronic signature tool, you can think of our electronic signature as being comparable to something like DocuSign or Adobe eSign, but we're adding that additional value of everything else in the workflow leading up to signature and what happens afterwards. Now, this is just something to piggyback off of in terms of what electronic signing offers, but a big reason why people take advantage of it is just the ease of keeping track of all of your documents and knowing how to prioritize with certain customers that maybe have not signed off on documents yet. So again, if you're just using email and PDF, and maybe you're going through a transactional time of the year where a lot of these documents are being sent out, it can be difficult to keep track of who you sent documents to, who's signed off on the documents, who hasn't signed yet, who I should follow up with to make sure that they receive that document, and whether they need any help kind of moving across the line in terms of purchasing your services. So with PandaDoc, you do get just one place to go to keep track of all the documents that you've sent out or that you're working on still before they're sent out, broken down by their status. And again, the idea here is to make sure that you're reducing that time it takes to receive signatures on documents, but also just as importantly, making sure that you're not letting any potential customers slip through the cracks. You saw a good example on Adam's screen there, right, of the editor. So this is a big differentiator between us and a legacy process. So our editor is essentially kind of like Google Docs, if any of you have used Google Docs before, but as opposed to using Microsoft Word or a different editor, everything will be managed within the PandaDoc editor in terms of your templates and creating documents from those, editing them. And it's an editor that we've built, specifically around customer-facing documents like contracts and proposals and quotes. So this is meant to be a tool that's really easy to pick up and implement and manage over time. And then you get these benefits of better looking content and streamlined document creation that is really what the editor is all about that we've created.
Yeah, again, very simple process, very simple to start from 0 to 50 really quick, 50 mile an hour really quick when it comes to that. So easy to add signatures, easy to add content, easy to do what we did. It did not take very long to actually create that information. It wasn't a week-long process or anything. We did it pretty much in a day, creating the different templates.
Well, and you've got a good support system to be able to help people that are, I mean, that initial lift might be, for anybody, I'll even do it in Word or whatever, but you've got a good support team that's able to kind of help and walk through that initial lift. And then, like you said, once you get that first part down, then it pretty much takes care of itself. So.
Exactly. And just want to point out that, we are a web-based software, which means that we're going to highlight the fact that we integrate with a bunch of other web-based softwares. So Summit CPA, you guys use HubSpot CRM to keep track of your customers and your new business opportunities. So we have 13 integrations with CRM tools like HubSpot. Basically, that makes it a little bit easier and more structured to get those documents generated and have data pass from the CRM directly into the document, so you're not manually retyping anything if you happen to use one of those CRM tools. But we have a few other types of integrations. So we do integrate with a number of payment gateways, so like Stripe or PayPal are examples of that, or Square, so that you can actually collect payment directly on a document that you send off to a customer. A few accounting tools such as Xero and QuickBooks Online that can automatically generate invoices in your systems once a document is signed off on. So if you're already leveraging a few other tools that we happen to integrate with, again, we can probably automate a couple of the steps for creating the document, but also what happens after that document gets signed.
Yeah. Well, I think this would be really appealing. As I was looking back at a previous polling question, 90% of the people answered that they're currently using email, either templates or just email. So that has to tell me that's not integrated with anything. We did get a question from someone asking if you integrate with Monday.com. Do you know the answer to that?
Yeah, we do not have a integration with Monday that's out of the box. But we do have like Zapier and a couple other ways to plug into other tools if it's not an out-of-box integration.
Okay. Yeah, and I know like even from a payment processing standpoint, I know that we currently use CPA Charge, and that's not an out-of-the-box solution, but we went to CPA Charge and asked them about some integration, and I know they're currently working on that. I think they're close, if not ready to go, with being able to automate our back end, so that whenever people do sign, they're giving our payment authorization and everything there. It's not a two-step process. So it's possible to go to some of those vendors as well and see if there's a way to connect in really easily.
Very nice. All right, so let's just take another high-level look at what this is, what this all means in terms of PandaDoc and what we're really striving for at the end of the day, right? So you've gone over this already, making sure that the documents that you're sending out to customers are as professionally designed and compelling as possible, and making sure that this is not a big time suck for you to create and send off the documents, as well as making sure that everyone that should be signing and moving forward with your services is and isn't slipping through the cracks. At the end of the day, PandaDoc, through the various features and the editor and the e-signature components, we're really just striving to make sure that from a sales standpoint, you're capturing as much business as possible. So, we can help out anywhere, any step of this journey, but at the end of the day, we're looking to make sure that your win rate is as high as possible for all the various potential customers that you're engaged with.
Yeah, and right now our win rate our win rate for last year is just right at 47%, on our client base. And I can't say PandaDoc is the sole reason, but it's part of the entire process that's essential in order to achieve such a high win rate. You've got to have a good process from the very beginning, but the tools that you're using are key to making that work. I can't imagine we'd have that same win rate if we were sending emails out to people or making phone calls with going through verbal stuff. And so it's really important that you have the right tools, processes, and people in place in order to achieve such the high win rate that you want to achieve.
No, I'm terrible at that. Whenever somebody's like, hey, yeah, let's go with that, we make it a point to make sure that we're pricing people out right on that first call. And then whenever they come back and they're like, yeah, let's go with option A, if that's a big lift for me, I just know it is anyway. Like, my calendar is usually pretty full and I'm trying to find time to do it. It's one of those things where I'm like, it always kind of gets pushed to the back burner, and you find even 2 or 3 days, like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. Like, if you are stale with that return, like, oh, cool, here you go. And then, because I know the second that I send that, I have somebody to like schedule a kickoff call. And so I can just get it off my plate really quick. So it is really, that speed part of it is extremely important to those of us that are really busy and don't really have the time to, even manipulate the template every time and modify it.
Yeah, well, got a quick question for you. Do you have already pre-built templates that you could provide to people, or as examples of, hey, I'm an accounting firm coming in, here are the 5 templates that are typical amongst accounting firms?
Yeah, we do. So PandaDoc manages a library of sort of like boilerplate templates that are built out in our editor already that can be leveraged. So it's really easy to just, when you set up your account, to go through that library and transfer anything that you see over that you want to use to basically, tailor around your own business. And it's pretty straightforward to do that. You just take a template and you can edit it in your own account if you want. But we also provide a lot of direct assistance in, making sure that any existing templates that you have are set up in PandaDoc. And it's a pretty straightforward process. We can, take something that you already have in Microsoft Word or PDF and just, quickly convert that into a template in your PandaDoc account. So we have examples, but we can also just help just get something converted into your account so it's easier to work with in the editor.
Nice.
Is that something that usually happen like in a initial implementation, onboarding kind of process? That's usually when that would take place?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
So first thing we do when we start working with a new customer is, review what they're using right now and confirm what they want to, have just rebuilt in PandaDoc so that, they're up and running as soon as possible.
Sounds great. Sounds like you avoid someone buying a tool and then 3 months later saying, I didn't have the time to get that implemented, so it's still just sitting there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that shouldn't happen here.
Yep.
Exactly. Let's see. So just a little more context here for PandaDoc in the wider scheme of things and within the competitive landscape, right? There's a lot of software tools out there that somewhat operate in the same space as us. So if you go to, this is a screenshot from the software review site G2 Crowd. If you look at their list of tools that just focus on e-signature, there's something like 40, 50 vendors out there that are focusing on the e-signature piece that that we sometimes compete against, right? Proposal and contract management softwares, 25 plus vendors for proposal and 30 plus vendors for contract management. So this is a relatively crowded space that we live in, but Panadoc, through our our tool, just the product side of things, but also we're very much focused right on this specific part of the workflow. We've seen a lot of success when we're competing against other vendors, especially for these types of processes that we're talking about, sales documents, proposals, quotes, contracts. And just to back that up a little bit, so if you look at the actual usage of PandaDoc, a big part of this has been the effect of COVID over the last year, because we've seen a massive shift in businesses going digital and transforming their business processes around remote work. But PandaDoc, we're able to see the high level metrics of how people are using us. And in Q3, year over year, and then Q4 year over year, we did see a 28% and 38% respective increase in the number of documents that were being signed using our application. So this is, basically, a metric that shows how much more PandaDoc is being used by our customer base, given market conditions this year.
And I only see that going upward.
Yeah, and I mean, quite frankly, it doesn't matter about market conditions and COVID. I mean, it should be like just in general rule of thumb. You know what I mean? Days of getting the signed one in your office and then having to scan it, and I'm glad those days are long gone. Tracking down engagement letters and figuring out what people did with them. So,
do you guys still have a fax machine?
No.
We do have an online fax thing, because there's only
for the IRS.
Yeah, for the IRS. Like, they're the only people that we know that still actively uses a fax.
Got it. That's good to know that there's an online fax tool. I always pictured just the big machines still operating in some places.
Nope.
All right, and our pricing, it's listed on our website, but we keep it simple. It's a per user pricing model, and it's subscription based. So as opposed to other tools, especially the other electronic signature vendors out there that just focus on the electronic signature piece, a lot of those tools charge pretty steep pricing on a per document basis. But with PandaDoc, we keep it simple. Our subscription is mainly based around the users that are using the tool, and not the number of documents that you're sending out. So our pricing scales very nicely for a lot of businesses, especially ones that tend to send out a lot of documents.
Makes sense.
It makes it nice, yeah.
What's there between the business plan and the essentials there?
Yeah, good question. So essentials, this is a plan that we have that's meant to compete well against the more e-signature focused tools out there, like DocuSign or Adobe, all these signature tools. So this functionality, it has some of the editor, but it's at a price point that's that's geared towards, again, competing well for the electronic signature focused customers out there, where we can be used pretty much just like a regular electronic signing tool, but it also provides the ability to manage and use simple editable templates. And then the business plan, we have a couple of different subscription tiers, right? The business plan is going to entail a lot more of the functionality regarding the CRM integrations and the content capabilities of the editor, things like that.
And this relates, Will, to a question that we got where I think you've already answered, hey, it's not based on number of documents. I believe it's not cost more for signatures. If you're doing payment collection, is there a per transaction kind of charge that's done within there?
Yeah, not on our end. And I think if you're using like Stripe, for instance, they might have their own transaction fee, but there's not anything additional that you'd be paying for if you're using our payment integration.
Okay, that's very helpful. Thanks.
Now, for those of you who are interested in, what this would actually look like to start using and get onboarded, we saw Summit CPA's account and how they're using it, but how do we get to that point, right? So once you do become a Panadoc customer with us, we have a professional onboarding services team here that will work with you to get up and running in a pretty time efficient manner. Typically, the timeline ranges between 1 and 3 weeks to get fully up and running and start using Panadoc. And it's broken out. We try to keep it simple and effective. So, we're just getting on a kickoff call. You're going to have an onboarding specialist dedicated to your account for this time period. And that person would, do a process assessment, collect any content for migration. They'll reconnect with whoever's going to be kind of the admin on your end to review that converted content and ensure it's set up correctly around anything like the CRM integration. And then we help with training your entire team and with end user deployment. So if you have more than a few CPAs, or if you're a larger firm that has a big team of people sending these documents, we help out with that as well. But the whole process from start to finish, we try to keep it under 3 or 4 meetings and under a few weeks to get everything up and running for you guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and kind of circling back and kind of going through the whole journey here, with a traditional accounting firm, and we were that way a while back, right, where every year you send out engagement letters mostly for tax returns, and occasionally if you're doing compilations, you'll send out an engagement letter for those audits, the same thing. When we 80% of what we do is virtual CFO services, and it's a perpetual engagement, right? So it's an engagement that hopefully never ends. Obviously, we know it will end because everything does eventually. Our engagements last about 3 to 4 years on average, and so it's a long time, and it continues to grow as we add more and more, and have done it longer and longer period of time. And the perpetual part's important. So the idea is when we this is a big part of it, and we call that basically our billing process is just subscription-based billing, and so it's a perpetual basis. They sign a weekly agreement, meaning that they sign it once. It's for a weekly engagement. It's perpetual in nature, meaning they can cancel anytime they want. And instead of sending them an invoice every single month and waiting for that, or every single week or every single month, or whatever, we just through this we integrate with CPA Charge, and we just zap their account every single Monday. So every Monday, we zap 130 plus clients' accounts, for that weekly engagement. And so it's a continual process. And so again, the nice thing about that is our retention rate is greater than 90%. It's like 91, 92%, somewhere in that ballpark. And so we don't lose clients. Clients love working in this type of thing. And the last thing they want to do is worry about, is that bill paid? Can we, and that's the last thing our CFOs want to worry about too when they hop on engagement. Hey, you're behind 3 months. Can you get caught up this time? It's an awkward conversation. And so this is a great solution, along with other solutions within your processes, to make sure that automation happens. Does our firm administrator, what does she do each week? It's pretty much an automated process. Automatically takes it out, automatically pulls it out of their account, automatically goes through the process. When we need to cancel the service for whatever reason, we can cancel it very quickly, and it just streamlines everything. It's kind of nice because we'll approach close to $9 million in revenue this year in 2021, and we have literally negative accounts receivable because we're always zapping their account the Monday before the service is even performed. So technically it's negative accounts receivable. If you take all that stuff out, we may have $20,000-$30,000 of true accounts receivable in a $7 to $9 million company. So again, it's easily can be done. Why be the bank anymore? Make this part of your solution. and incorporate it with the rest of your documents. We've done it for a long time, and it's worked successfully for us.
And Jody, as you say that we've also recommended to some of our clients that they do that, right? They're not accounting firms. And some who have talked about that, we've said, hey, here's what we do. Have you considered this up front? Just say, here's how we do our billing. And some have started doing that.
Right, exactly. And then another question about the proposals. Yeah, you can set up to have an automatic reminder if they haven't looked at it. You know, a proposal you can set up to remind them in a couple days or a couple weeks or whatever time frame is. So that's something that's definitely nice to have in there. So if you're sending a bunch of proposals out, like we'll send out, you know, a couple hundred, you know, maybe even more than that, tax return clients out. You know, it's really hard to keep on top of all that, and then it's nice to have that constant reminder so that you know, we don't have to go through and say, hey, who didn't sign their tax return engagement, you know, that type of thing, or an audit engagement, or whatever that might be for those that aren't done on a perpetual basis like the CFO services.
Yep.
Real quick, real straightforward. We have 24/7 live chat and email support on the technical support side, but you will also have a dedicated account manager type role that we call a customer success specialist. They will check in with you regularly to make sure that everything is going well on the account. And again, you know, we can keep track on our end. We don't have direct access, obviously, to any specific data, but we can see, you know, how much a customer is utilizing our tool in terms of like numbers of documents created and sent out for signature. So we do a good job on the customer success side of you know, setting some benchmarks up front before you start your subscription to make sure that you guys are fully realizing the value of the tool over time. And we connect with you on an ongoing basis just to make sure that you guys are using us well. Again, we're a recurring business model here, so our financial success is really reliant on customers staying with us and being happy and renewing with us year over year. So we take that part pretty seriously as well. If anyone who is not already using PandaDoc is interested in having a conversation around your business process and how PandaDoc might be able to help, I would be that person to reach out to. Everyone will, you know, should be, you know, receiving a follow-up after this webinar with this little piece on it, but you know, just reach out to me and I'll you know, help manage a quick evaluation for you. And one nice thing with this webinar for all of you who attended is that, you know, if you reference this, I'll make sure that, you know, we apply a 20% discount on any of our annual subscription plans.
Nice.
But it'll be a pretty quick process. You know, we'll just take a look at your process, provide a screen share demo of a relevant workflow example, and if any other assistance is needed to evaluate this, we can provide that as well.
That's great. So in addition to that, Will, if you jump to the next slide, we have a couple of offers for people also.
Nice.
So I know people on here are here because they want to learn. There's an opportunity to continue learning that the CPA Success Show is a podcast. You can get on YouTube. You can also get on the Apple Podcasts. So continue learning about different topics related to accounting, finance, virtual CFO services. I really encourage people, if you're not part of our Slack community, to do that. This is a better opportunity to actually interact with people. A marketing channel, there's actually a book club. The marketing has a group that gets together occasionally, and we see a lot of activity of people sharing ideas and asking questions in here that are then just sort of keeping a conversation going. If we jump to the next slide, we are offering a course for people. So today, Jody and Adam both reference a lot of things that we do as a firm, and much of this is taught within a course. So the virtual CFO playbook, how to land $60,000 per year clients and provide a killer client experience. So a 15-module course. There's also, when you complete the course, a free 1-hour coaching session with Adam and I. We do every Tuesday, we're having weekly fireside chats. I think this week we had about 10 people participating. General topics that we have and specific questions and answers that people get into. So it's a really good community that's getting developed. If you do that, then you're part of that CFO Slack community I mentioned, a free copy of a book, and then also some discounts on software and other tools. So we got one question today about, hey, Jody was mentioning things about how client select services, and you talked about the PandaDocs. We use a pricing tool that's in here that's specifically described in this, is one of the things we use with our clients, prospective clients, and that's something you'll actually get a copy of that template if you want to tailor it for your own use in there. So that's one of the things that comes out of the course.
As well as our SOW. Like, so we include the SOW as well as another tool.
Yeah, yeah. So many resources that are in that are really help people getting up and going. So if we jump to the last slide, just remind you who the speakers were, ways you can contact them. Will, thanks for giving us a great overview of PandaDocs. Adam and Jody, thanks very much for adding sort of the context and how we're using things within Summit CPA Group. For everyone listening, thanks for participating. And I think that's everything we have for today.
Tom, can you go back and we had a question about the Slack community. What was the URL for the Slack community?
Oh, yes. Do you mind jumping back? I think that's 2 slides before, Will.
There you go.
You can see it there. And these slides are going to be emailed out. I think it's tomorrow, definitely within a week. So you'll get that on there. But yep, you've got it there. Yeah, thanks for reminding me that.
And definitely tune in on the YouTube channel for the CPA Success Show. Adam and Tom do a phenomenally great job on that. It's a lot of fun. It takes about half an hour of your time, and you can usually do it while you're doing other things. So hopefully they won't bore you too much. But
no promises.
It's Gene instead of me, so now they. That is an excellent.
So yeah, definitely get automated and help build brand with this with a tool like this. It's been a game changer for us, and Will, we appreciate you spending the time and introducing the rest of the community to a pretty slick tool.
Yeah, of course. It was great being on the webinar with you guys. You guys run a really good kind of webinar program and outline here. So it was fun working with you guys and presenting to everybody. And hopefully a few of you are interested enough to connect with me. I'll take a deeper dive to show you guys PandaDoc. But no, this was fun. And I also really appreciated the Blondie video at the beginning.
Yeah, it wasn't Mac Dre, but
Will, if you can jump down just one slide. Someone just asked if we can show the course slides, so we can show that really quick right before we exit, and I'll just remind people that you'll get a copy of all the slides. So if there's something specific and like that URL, that'll all be in there for you.
Yeah, if you go to our website, summitcpa.net, you'll be able to see like how we have the CFO community. So the Slack channel's in there, the course is in there. There's a really good video that Jody did with all the different modules and what we cover in the course as well. So.
Yeah, and we asked people at the beginning to use the question function, and that was great. It makes it as interactive as you can be when we've got 50 some people on a webinar, and not everyone can talk at the same time. So the questions are a great way to interact.
For sure.
Okay.
Thanks
everyone. Have a great day. Thanks.